Very different back then, very different. You had to recruit a bigger pool of people because you had no idea a lot of times until signing day what guys were going to do. And because most of these decisions were January, you were just recruiting seniors. We didn't even think about evaluating a junior until May, going into their senior year. So it's just very, very different times now, and we don't recruit as big a numbers. But yeah, I loved. I was detailed in my area. I tried to know the coaches. I tried to know all my players, and you know, signed a lot of good players there when I was there for sure.
We're going to go back onto the riser, middle.
Matt Dowell out of Watch Fox of Columbia, South Carolina. Dabo, earlier this week, Travis Etienne said he wanted to dedicate Monday's game to C.J. Fuller. How much is C.J. on the team's mind this weekend?
Well, I think C.J.'s been on our team's mind, since he passed. It's just a tragic situation, really tragic. And, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with his parents. And, in fact, his birthday was Thanksgiving Day this year. And, not long after the funeral, but just a really difficult thing, for all of us, anytime you deal with death. And certainly as we get older, it's something that we are much more aware of and have experienced a lot in our families and friends and so forth. But for young people, that's a tough thing to process. And but he was a great young man. And I don't have any doubt that these guys certainly remember him and will honor him with how they play.
We're going to go back over here to the middle right in the back.
Ben Jones from the Tuscaloosa News. How significant would it be for you to win your 6th championship at Alabama, tying Coach Bryant, and your 7th championship overall?
Well, I don't really look at it that way. I have a tremendous respect for what this team has been able to accomplish, the opportunity that they created for themselves. And, as a coach, you want to do everything you can to help your players have the best opportunity to be successful for what they want to accomplish. And, we've been successful in these games and we've been unsuccessful in these games. And at times, as a coach, you want to make sure that you're doing everything possible to help this particular team and this group of young men who have worked so hard all year long to be able to have the best chance to be successful against a great team that they have to play. So that doesn't really enter into it in my mind. I don't ever even think about that at all. I do think a lot about trying to make and help this team to be the best possible and to put them in the best possible position to have a chance to be successful.
We're going to go back over here on the left, our left middle. Marty?
Hi, guys. Marty Smith, ESPN. I've heard both of you say that in several ways you're mirror images of one another. Your teams are mirror images of one another's programs. But the way that you both got to that place are very different from a personality perspective. So I wonder, what attributes maybe have you taken from one another? This is for both of you. What attributes, Coach Saban, have you taken from Dabo or Dabo from Coach Saban that maybe you've incorporated into your program that intrigued you that they do?
Coach Saban?
Well, I have a tremendous amount of respect for what and how they do things, at Clemson. They do a great job of recruiting. They do a great job of developing their players. And likewise, that's what we try to do in our program in terms of we want to help guys be more successful in life because they were involved in the program, whether it's through personal development, making sure they graduate, develop careers off the field, help them in career development, be the best version of themselves, see if they can, have a career as a football player. And I guess there's probably more than one way to do that, but we try to do it with a great staff of people who are interested in creating a culture of accountability for players in terms of their personal behavior, how they approach academics, how they approach what they try to do in football. And that has helped us. And we're constantly trying to evaluate other successful programs, including Clemson's, to see if they're doing something that, might help us improve what we do to help our players be more successful.
Coach Sweeney?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it's a lot. You're talking about a program that I have a deep love and respect for, always have, always will. And, you know, a coach that's, I mean, he's won 6 national championships. And the level of consistency is a model and an aspiration for every program. And so for me, I think a couple things. One, how he has just been himself, you know, regardless of what people think or say or whatever, he's been himself. And he's stuck to the things that he believes in. And that's a lesson for me, you know, to be myself and to be convicted in my beliefs and how I think that I should run the program. But he's very detailed. You know, we're very detailed in how we do things. And I think from a program standpoint, when he got to Alabama, how he modernized the program, infrastructure-wise, to create an environment, like he said, that's conducive to helping the young players have a great experience and to develop as a person, you know, and a player. And that's, you know, there's resources involved with that, you know, and I think that that's something that Coach Saban changed in college football, quite frankly. And as when I was an assistant, when he became the head coach and started kind of putting that place, it was something that I paid attention to. And because the old model where you had the head coach and 9 assistants and a couple of GAs and you were everything, you know, you were the coach, you were the counselor, you were the wore every hat. In the meantime, recruiting's still going on, problems happen. These kids are kids and they have family issues. And so creating an infrastructure to support the coaches in the ultimate mission of helping these guys have that great experience, but helping them get the tools they need to go dominate in life and at the same time develop as a player. And I think Coach Saban kind of led the way in that. So, you know, I think as a coach, like we're always studying and trying to learn from every program. That Alabama has certainly been the standard for, you know, a decade or so since he's been there. And so I've learned lots of things. You know, sometimes it could just be, you know, maybe how he handles a situation. You know, I've called on him a time or two to ask him his opinion on some things, and we've swapped some ideas. So, you know, I'm thankful that you know, I've been able to learn. You know, and again, I learn from everyone, but I think, you know, Alabama has been incredibly consistent. And why is that? Well, they've recruited great players. They've developed those players. They've had a standard in place. And so there's a lot of similarities, yet personality-wise, maybe we're different in how we go about certain things. But at the end of the day, I think it's just being true to who you are.
We're going to go back over here to the middle, off to the left.
Chris Brees, CBS 42 in Birmingham. Dabo, I know yesterday you had touched upon how this felt different for you from the previous championships and just in terms of enjoying the road it took to get there. Do you think the players feel the same way?
I hope so, because I've really tried to be intentional in that all year, not just now, but literally all year. And that was kind of a focus for me this year. You know, I knew we were going to have a good team. I knew we would have some challenges. But this group of seniors is unlike any group I've ever been around. I mean, I've had some amazing, unbelievable individual leaders that I've been around, but nothing collectively like this group. I mean, 26 guys get votes for captains. You know, this is a special team, and their focus and how they handle themselves in the off season, in the spring, the summer, the day-to-day interaction. You know, I wanted to enjoy all of it. And as I said the other day, you know, in 15, it was a blur. I don't even really remember it. It was a blur because it was very new. The preparation, our guys were in school. We'd finished the bowl game. Now we got classes. We're trying to get ready. You know, it was a lot of logistical things that I kind of was figuring out as I went. And then, you know, we had a great game. We didn't win, but we learned a lot. And then in 16, we knew we had a really good team. And that team, it was a little bit more of a grind. It was almost like that team wanted to hit fast forward. Like, can we just like get here, you know? And it doesn't work that way. And I didn't think we played great early in the season. Ended up losing a game, but obviously we went on to win it all. But this year, you know, this has been a very joyful season. It's the best way I can say it. I really have enjoyed the day-to-day, mundane activities of just being around this team. And a lot of times it's felt like this team kind of wanted to hit pause. And I do think that they have enjoyed the journey. I think this senior group has savored every moment along the way. You know, they haven't looked ahead. We've been incredibly consistent. So I don't have any doubt that they will treasure their time this season when they finish, you know, regardless of what happens tomorrow night. You know, it's just two great teams. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and both teams are going to play their hearts out. And even if you win the game, you know, been there, done that. It's a great moment, but it's still always about the journey to that moment and the relationships, the grind there. And I think these guys have truly enjoyed every second of the ride this year, and our coaches.
We're going to go over here to our right in the middle aisle. Stuart?
Stuart Mandel from The Athletic for Nick. Earlier, when you started this run, obviously you had a lot of quarterbacks who were veterans by the time they started. Now you've had Jalen as a true freshman. Tua came in last year as a true freshman. Now you're facing Trevor Lawrence as a true freshman. What has changed about that position, do you think, that allows these guys to perform at such a high level